everybody. That's Father Tom, of course, from St. Teresa, looking at this upcoming Sunday, the 21st, if you enter Numbers, and it's Matthew chapter 16, verse 13 to 20. And Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi and asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said, "Reply, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him, and replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Then he strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. The Gospel of the Lord. All right. So he went to the region of Caesarea Philippi, which is about 25 miles just outside of the sea, northeast of the Sea of Galilee. And population was mainly non-Jewish. Why is that important? Because Jesus is getting the end of his road, his mission, and death is coming closer. When he knows what's upcoming about his death. And so the Pharisees and the Sadducees and even the Jews are, trying to catch him and giving a hard time. So he needs some peace and quiet, and he needs to just be with his little group, his apostles, before he leaves and have some quiet time with them. And so what's on his mind is, do you know who I am? What I'm all about? My time with you, was it successful, wasteful? Did anything get through? So let's find out. Who do you say I am? And Caesarea Philippi is sort of an interesting place because in this area he's here right now, it's a lot of monuments to different gods, all right? There's temple to the ancient Syrian Baal worship, and there's a god called Pan, who's the god of nature, and then you have these monuments to Caesar, Nero, and so there are all these great tributes to these religions of that time. And they're pretty magnificent, some of them too, these monuments, these temples, all right? And so here, that's Jesus in this background now. Now here he is. What is this guy, He's homeless. He's penniless, right? And he has his band of followers who are just 12 sort of ordinary, nothing too impressive about them. That's his group. So there he's asking the question, who do you say that I am? And they're in the backdrop of these magnificent sort of tributes to these other gods. And he wants to know, do you know who I am? Imagine. Quite the contrast, isn't it? So he asks, and some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah and Jeremiah, and it's interesting. They're all dead people, you know that? They're all dead. You think, how can he be someone who's dead? It shows that they recognize that there's something supernatural about Jesus. He's not no ordinary human person, right? Because to come back from the dead is quite a feat. So they do know there's something about Jesus. And Jeremiah, said that he was the great prophet, the greatest prophet, and that he would have to return to be the forerunner to the Messiah. So maybe that's who Jesus is. Not the Messiah, but he's the one right before the Messiah. But all these answers not really the appropriate, correct answer. So he asked, well, what about you guys? Never mind the scuttlebutt what people are saying on the street. What do you guys say? Because you're the one who knows me best. I spent these 3 years with you. What do you think I am? And who answers right away? It's Peter. Now, of course, it's because Peter had this personality that he speaks without thinking, right? Remember the boat? Tell me come out and walk on the water again, sort of, spontaneously speaks out. But also, it's again, which ties into this gospel, it shows that Peter is the leader. The one who sort of speaks on their behalf. He's the one. He is the one. In fact, you go to the Gospels and Acts of the Apostles. The one who has the most frequency mentioned in the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles, okay, after Jesus, naturally, really about him, it's Peter. Peter is the one. So there's something special about Peter. And when Jesus chooses the 12 and they list the names, whose name is listed first? It's Peter. So there's something special about Peter, that he is recognized as the head. All right. So now we have Peter's answer, and he gives those great answers to him. And Jesus says, "Well, you are Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church." Now his birth name is Simon. Well, Jewish would be Simeon, but it's Simon. and he changes his name from Simon to Peter. And this have taken place in Scripture. In the Old Testament, we have Abram becomes Abraham, to be the father of many people. We have Jacob, who becomes Israel. All right. So it speaks, name change speaks of sort of a mission, a different function, and we like that door, don't they? But anyway, his special mission. And then later on in the New Testament, we have Paul, who was previously Saul. So he had a name change. So there's something about the name change designating a change of, role or function or vocation. In fact, years ago when I took my vows, now some religious orders could be explained that actually changed their names. The way that the Pope takes, right, when the Pope becomes Pope, right, Pope Francis, they choose a different name because it's a whole different role, function, occupation that they have. So we see that with the popes who do that. They take typically a previous pope, but they take a different name. A lot of nuns especially, right? You ever go, way back in the old days with nuns, right? Some had like men's names, what I mean? So because they take saints who they want to model themselves on. And when I took my first vows when I was 18, I took the name Assumpta, which is Italian for the one who assumed the assumption of a Blessed Mother. Though with the Salesians we didn't go by that name, it's just some name that you would choose as a model, like a confirmation name. You didn't really go by it. But anyway, so I'm saying you take a name change. Now we like to talk about this because, especially for Catholics, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. And that for us is how we recognize the Pope, beginning with Peter, and that the church is sort of built, that he is the authority of the church, sort of configured in this one individual, and we say it's Peter. That's what Catholics believe, and that's how we defend our belief in having a Pope for these 2,000 years. Now, mind you, as you're well aware, other Christian religions don't hold to that belief. All right? Many Protestants that, do not hold to the Pope, of course. And so we're looking at this passage, they would see it differently. So if we're honest, if I take this passage, read Peter, upon this rock I will build my church. And so if I'm a Catholic reading that, of course I have a bias. Right? We have a Pope, so therefore I'm reading it in the lens of, well, this, defends, right, supports our claim that he's the Pope. And I really believe when the Protestant would read that, being that they do not accept the Pope, because if they did, that would have to change everything. They couldn't really, exist as they are. So therefore they're going to find, for them, why it does not mean what we say it is. All right. And so the word Greek for rock is Petro. It's Petros, meaning rock, right? And so you are Petros, but the common word for rock was Petra, which is a feminine. Petros is masculine form, Petra. So they say, aha. Jesus said, you are Petros, and upon this Petra. See, it's a different word, they would say. Therefore it's not Peter. It's based on the faith that Jesus, gave them. It's upon Jesus, the church. Now, I hope I'm not making this too complex. But remember this. Jesus didn't, that's in Greek, what the New Testament is written in. But Jesus didn't speak Greek. He spoke Aramaic. It's quite similar to Hebrew. So you are Cephas, and upon this, Cephas I will build my church. So the word is not changed, okay? So it is, we believe it's founded in Peter, and through these 2,000 years we have upheld that, all right? And that's a very, very, very important belief for us, our Catholic faith, believing the authority of the Pope. So Aramaic is just Cephas, and that's the meaning rock. So he didn't change his name. But he has authority to what you have bind on earth is bound, that you are rock. Even that's important, because the church is tied to the temple in Jerusalem. Christianity's sort of continuation or the fulfillment of the Jewish faith. Well, when the Jews hear that, they would know there was a very important rock in the temple of Jerusalem. There's a very important rock there in the great temple. It was called the Shetia, the foundation stone. And you see this in the ancient rabbinic writings. So it's saying that in the Holy of Holies, there was a special stone, the foundation stone, where the Ark of the Covenant used to be before it was taken away during the Babylonian exile. Okay? It is that foundation stone. So when you say, Peter, you are the rock, you are the foundation stone of our church. And second point, you know, Peter's sort of like a prime minister, because he has the keys. Now we may joke about it, keys, you know, Peter's in heaven, opening the gates of heaven, but that's not really what it means. He has the key to the house of David, which is a symbol. The keys, though, is a symbol of authority. So if I was, you know, you go on a vacation, go away, maybe your next door neighbor, hey, listen, keep an eye on my house. In fact, here are the keys to my house. You just check in, you need it, you know. Now you have the authority because you have the keys to the house, you have the keys to the kingdom, right? And that's what they you know, what it really means for us. That Peter has the authority, the keys to the kingdom. And so he also has the authoritative teaching. So if someone would bind something, he said, and the gospel says, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. What's that saying? That meant they taught something. When the rabbis, if they were to teach something, everyone had to believe it. If they had to lose something, well, there's a diversity of opinion on it. And you know, there's something about that people, human nature, that we don't really care for authority. You know, usually we don't like typically we don't like our boss, the pastor. We buck the system. So even the popes, you know, but it gives us a structure. It gives us a course of line. You know, I've been reading. I think it's something like different studies of like 33,000 different Protestant denominations. That just can't be God's will. Just can't be God's will. So even though we may not always like the Pope, agree with the Pope, all right, but he keeps us united. As tough as it is today, it's amazing that we haven't split the boundaries. You know, the conservatives and liberals. It's really a very interesting time. But the Pope keeps us united, and it's not based on my opinion, my feelings, my emotions, but the Pope. And as different saints have said, unless it commands us to do something that's sinful, you obey. Because there's a grace in submitting to authority. As long as it's not against the commandments, as long as it's not sinful, when we act in obedience, you know, we sort of honor God. That's how it is. And that's how we feel, you know, priest with the bishop, or those in religious order, and the bishop says something, I want to act in obedience. I may not like it, but if it's not sinful, then I will submit. All right? So thank God for that. We have a Pope that's, for the most part, keeps us united, that keeps us in the faith, and that for 2,000 years we're still, you know, still here, still strong, because hell is not going to win. Bottom line, look at Jesus' words, you know, it will survive. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. God bless you, and hope to see you Sunday.